So today, guys, I want to update you on my current day trading strategy and the things that I'm using right now to finally, after about 2 years, make me profitable for a pretty long amount of time. I'll also show you this strategy in motion. I'll show you a $1,000 trade that I took yesterday. Also update you on what's been going on with the prop firm trading and things like that, all in this video. So if you are new to day trading, or maybe you've been struggling for a year like I have, maybe some of these tips and tricks might help you become more successful yourself. Now, some of these may seem cliche and some of these might be mind-blowing, but I think the first thing that I want to talk about is my own personal ego and how I thought that my ego would help me be a better day trader when it doesn't. Like, the markets do not care about your feelings, about how many followers you have, and things like that. And I feel like I was taking wins and losses personally. I was taking my wins as like I'm the shit, and I was taking my losses like the market was against me or somebody was out to get me. I think if you want to be successful, you need to learn how to, one, put your ego aside, but two, stop comparing yourselves to other people. When I first started day trading, I used a very, very simple strategy, actually the one that I'm using right now. And it got criticized up and down. It looks ridiculous. Looks like you have lightsabers all over your charts. And I kind of got a little self-conscious because I knew that there was traders out there criticizing the hell out of me. And the crazy thing was, it was working for me, but I felt like I needed to change. So I changed a strategy that was working to appease other people. And I tried a number of different strategies. I tried ICT, I tried breakouts, I tried scalping, supply and demand, break and retest, you name it. And I just could not be successful. And it wasn't until I was finally like, all right, remember when it used to be working and people were making fun of me? Well, let's go back to being made fun of and making money as opposed to making people happy and losing money, if that makes sense. Do not worry about what other people are doing and stick to a strategy. I think another thing, like I said, I tried out all of these different things, chasing one person after another, seeing a successful trader, I'm going to trade like them, seeing a successful trader, I'm going to trade like them. And I never gave myself enough time and enough screen time to learn my own personal strategy. I thought there was a strategy I could take from somebody else. I thought I could trade like Trades by Matt. I thought that I could trade like Patrick Whelan. I thought I could trade like Harmon. Like I thought all these things, I thought I could trade like them. But after a year and a half, I realized, shit, I needed to trade like Brad. So you need to trade like you. Another thing I did was change the time frame that I am trading in, not only because of my lifestyle, but also my skill set. For those of you that know, I love to sell options. I love the wheel strategy. And about a year ago, I moved from selling weeklies to monthlies because I didn't want to be so tied to the chart. I feel like everyone on YouTube was trading in the 5-minute time frame, and that just didn't work for me. I wasn't a good scalper. I frankly was not good enough. The smaller your time frame is, the better trader that you need to be. There's more fake outs, there's more movement, there's just a lot going on. And it wasn't until I slowed down that time frame and actually became more of a swing trader that I found more success. Right now, I'm trading in the 4-hour time frame, and I do not go below that 4-hour time frame. And that was just exponentially better for me. And you'll see that example in the trade that I made last night. And that trade was 8 hours long. And I will say that here's another tip. I now walk away from my computer after I enter a trade. When you enter a trade, you should have your stop loss and your target, and you should be confident of that. I feel like when I was sitting there watching the charts, I was watching for something to go bad. Or I was watching because I really wasn't confident. Maybe I was over trading. Maybe I was trying somebody else's strategy and I didn't know if it worked. It wasn't until I became really confident in my own strategy and accepted the fact that sometimes I'm going to lose that now I place a trade. I have where my trade is invalidated. I have where I want to take my profit. And then I walk away from the computer and I wait for the alert on my phone that one of those 2 orders has been filled. And it's as simple as that for me. I don't need to be tied to the charts anymore. And with swing trading and trading on the 4-hour time frame, I'm making 1 to 2 trades a week sometimes, which has just been so much better for my psychology as well. I get to go do some things, but I'm also being successful in the chart. And I can't believe I tried for so long to make the 5-minute time frame work when I wasn't good enough. And the other thing I did when I was watching charts, which is detrimental, is moving my stops both to the downside and to the upside, right? Every single time we blow an account, it's generally because we A, didn't have a stop, or B, we kept moving it down and hoping, moving it down and hoping. you need to be able to take losses and stop moving your stop loss. And on the same token, when it goes up, how many times do we move it to break even? And then it comes down, touches it, and does exactly what we thought it's going to be. I still move my stops to break even, but I still wait till I am a very, very far bit into the profit. Like generally, once I get to a certain number, I'm like, okay, I don't want this to go red on me. I will take the break even. But early on, especially in the lower time frames, I would be up a little bit and I'd be like, ooh, I don't want to lose money on this trade. Boom, it would hit. And we'd come back down, it would hit my stop loss. And then I'd come back to the charts a couple hours later and it never would have hit my initial target of a stop loss, but it would have went in the direction if I just gave it some room to breathe. So please stop moving your stop losses. And the last thing I will say is just keep it simple. All right. Now, simple is relative and it's really up to you what you decide is simple for you. And when I show you my charts right now, I know it's going to be open to criticism. Like people are going to be like, you don't have the DOM up, you don't have the volume profile up, you don't have your stochastic indicators. Like, yeah, I don't personally trade with those. They don't help my edge and the model that I want to trade in. So don't feel like you have to have certain metrics on your chart to make other people happy or to make you a good trader. And also, if you want to mark up if you want to make your chart look like lightsabers like mine does, and that works for you, please do it. This might look confusing, but it's very, very simple for me. Super simple. And all I have now is trend lines and other areas of support and resistance on my chart. When I first started trading, the person that taught me trend lines and said, hey, wait for trend line breakouts. And I said, okay. And I started doing it. I brought it to the internet and everyone's like, your charts look ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. And I will give a shout out to Victoria Duke, Tory Trades. She's the one that like gave me the confidence to come back to it and be like, okay, remember when that was working? So that's what I've been doing, trading on a 4-hour time frame using just trend lines and other small areas of support and resistance. Let's look at the trade that I took last night, showing all of those examples, and I will mark my chart top down to the bottom, and you can see exactly and do it with your chart. This will work on any time frame, I believe. But just know, the smaller the time frame, the more fake outs, the less real credible or the less confluence you're going to have in your trades, in my opinion. The only downside I feel to trading on a higher time frame is there's definitely bigger swings. So your stop loss is probably going to be a little bit bigger, but also your take profit is going to be a little bit larger. All right, so we really need to manage. Trade micros if you need to, right? Make it work for you, but that I think is the one con is, you know, sometimes that stop loss is going to be 10, 20 points, but you're going to see that our targets are usually 20, 30 points. Okay, so let's take a look at my charts here, guys. And on the right, you can see these are the 4 things that I am trading. I think it's also very, very important to pick one asset and trade that one asset until you really learn it and then start adding new assets. I've recently just added crude oil, but I started with the NQ, the ES, and now I've been trading platinum mostly because it is a slow mover and it also follows trend lines in this strategy really, really well. What you are looking at right now is the continuous platinum futures, and you can see we are in a monthly time frame, and I do not have any trends because if I were to have trend lines here, we would see that we've already broken those trends. So they are now invalidated for me, so I don't really have them. So the only real trend lines I have come into here, and this is where you will see meme pictures of this on the internet. Looks like, oh, look at this trader. Like, guys, this was a very, very good trade for me, and I will show you that was a really, really good trade for me. Here are my downtrends, and I'm going to have them in solid lines or I'm going to have them in dotted lines. For me, a solid line means it has 3 or more touches on that trend line, and that's what's really, really working for me. If it only has a dotted line, that means it doesn't have as much strength, but I know that it's still an area of interest for me to watch. So if I come down now to the this is the weekly chart. All right. We can see right here, this touch right here, we had 1, 2. So this was a dotted line until it touched here for the 3rd time. Let's come down to the daily. Now we can see we have 1, 2, 3 touches on this uptrend. So that is now a solid line for me. And then we had the downtrend, 1, 2, and here was that 3rd one. So we're kind of zooming in now. We are on the daily chart. And this is kind of where I took a trade yesterday and where I make all of my entries and my exits. We could see I have a dotted line here because it has an anchor 1, 2. So it hasn't made a 3rd touch, but it at least gives me an area where I can start to think about my stop losses, because I'm going to use opposing trend lines as my stop loss. I do not trade on a percentage loss or things like that. I trade when the trade has become invalid. You're going to see some other areas on this chart right now. We will see we have a white line here. And the reason I have that white line on here is, for me, that is an area that it touch. That is just an area of significance that I at least want to draw my attention to. And then down here are fair value gaps. If you don't know what a fair value gap is, you can look that up. And I use those fair value gaps to help validate entries and exits for me. So essentially, this goes back now, this trend line that I created goes back to September 24th. Okay, a shorter time frame, but we see we had one touch here, we had two touches here, and then the anchor. So that now was a nice established trend line for me, as well as a downtrend over a long time frame. So the longer the time frame trends, when they are broken, they tend to be more successful breakouts for me. So what I'm looking for here is, we were watching this for a day or two. I saw it approaching this trend line. I knew that if I saw a break of this trend line, I was going to enter my trade and my stop loss would be placed below the uptrend line right here. So I entered here at 1009. My stop down here was at 999, okay? But now I'm going to trail my stop every single candle. So on the next candle, my stop moved up to 103, and then it moved up to 106. But I was sleeping for this. This was overnight, so I did not see any of this. I woke up this morning to a close at my trade. Here's my entry. My target was targeting these highs back from September 13th, September 15th, and September 16th. If this was during the day, I probably would have held it through those, and we could see that would have been very, very nice. But as I'm sleeping, I took a $1,000 gain. I am not trying to get greedy, and then I'm going to watch this trade. And I'm going to watch this develop until it breaks the trend line. And then when it breaks the trend line, probably up here, right? Probably up here around that. That's what I'm predicting. Then we'll get some downside movement. I will target this next trend line, and I will use this as I will see a new downtrend. We could see kind of forming here as my resistance. I trade not on TradingView. I trade on Trade8. So I'll show you exact entries and exits so you can see the profit and loss and know that I'm not just bullshitting you with numbers here. So this trade was made on an Apex account, guys, full disclosure. It was also copy traded over to a funded account. I found that I was having not as much success with Apex because of the 4-hour time frame and those bigger stop losses. I felt like I was hitting my trailing drawdown just a little bit faster, right? I wasn't giving myself, my strategy, enough time to breathe. So the evaluations, I've been passing them, and then I just kept on failing them. This time, I'm just being a little bit more strict. Like I said, taking that take profit in the middle of the night. You can see nothing on this chart. This is just for entries. I have my other screen up, but you could see those two entries. So we see right here, I entered right here. That was the first contract that I entered. The reason I did so was that was right when it broke, okay? And I was making sure that we weren't going to get a little fake out. So then it pulled back a little bit, which is great, but then it pushed right back out. I'm using Bookmap. I saw some volume increasing. That's when I felt confident to add my second contract. For this particular asset, I trade 2 contracts. As soon as I set those, I set my stop loss right here. I set my target right here, which is right at those highs. Let's zoom out, right at those highs. And I went to bed. Simple as that, okay? And we can see, if I zoom in, we got a 595 and a 439. If we see down here, that gave us 1,000. This $200 loss, guys, if we roll back, we had a roll forward on this asset that I did not realize in the moment, and I pretty much took slippage, and I took an immediate $200 loss trying to enter that same trade. It is what it is. That's what I get for rushing and being careless, but that's exactly how that worked. I want to show you one more example of where this would have worked in the other asset, crude oil, that I trade, because I could have been in 2 trades at once, which isn't something that I do. But let me bring up crude oil quick and show you exactly how this would have worked exactly the same way. So here's crude oil, and this would have been another fantastic trade. So I had my 1, 2, 3, and then 4 anchor points. So this right here got a solid line where we see just 1, 2. That's only a dotted line, so it doesn't have as much strength. But this would have been, and I also had an area of support and resistance that I found right here. Boom, 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 touch, touch. I'm like, okay, that's at least an area of significance. So I had this fair value gap drawn as well. As soon as we broke, this would have been an amazing time to enter. And if I bring up my other chart, it happened at pretty much the exact same time. All right. So I'm not going to be in 2 trades at once, but this is just another great trade. As soon as it broke, flushed right down through there, almost that fair value gap, came back up, touched that. We've now turned what once was support now into resistance. This would have been an awesome downside move. And now I'm going to watch this and see maybe it comes and establishes a new trend line here. And then I'll look for a break of that trend line and we'll just do it over and over again. I'll give you some more updates, guys, on a more frequent basis. I will be honest with you. The feeling of getting on here and showing all my trades also made me a shittier trader because I felt like I always had to have a trade ready for you guys to show you. But if you want to see exactly what I'm doing in real time, my morning charts, things I'm looking at, Discord link down in the description below. I don't sell courses, but I do have a Discord if you want to see it. Also, if you want to jump in and try Apex with me and see if you can pass the evaluation, I'll leave a link down in the description for that as well. And I'll see you guys on the next video.